Islam. So we got some words from Prophet Isa. Twice blessed are the fearless and the pure in heart. And fearless meaning who be themselves and who would tell the truth in the face of controversy. And the pure in heart. The pure in heart mean sincerity, um, basically your character built to the point where it's automatic. So you got basically you got people say, for example, um, someone go out and do some charitable work and record it, and in their heart they doing it to show that they're doing charitable work instead of for the actual charitable work. So that's a pure in heart. Thrice blessed are the fearless, pure in heart, and who dares to make confessions of their faith before the highest courts. The highest court is anywhere you're being judged. Faith is outside the realm of organized religions. Faith is also the words and the lessons and the principles you get from your mother and father. So when you got children who been taught one way in their household, then they go to school and they get peer pressure into doing things that they didn't learn in their house, they're going against their faith. Our faith is what we get from our mothers and fathers. We call it the Mother Holy Breath, and we call it the Seed of Allah together. But the Mother Holy Breath give us our faith. So in the highest courts, no matter if that's what we know as courts today, or of someone on the internet um, in a controversy, and when you're being judged, you confess with your heart, pure in heart confession of their faith. So basically, that's what we're gonna look at in this video. We're gonna look at um, why as Moors, what we believe and what we make as solidarity within our national family is the same as a household and a child rebelling against the ways of their parents. The ways of their parents is what keep them alive, keep them well in the world. So basically, going against what our ancestors taught us to keep us well in the world is going against our faith outside the realm of religion. So we call it Islamism because it's the origin, the original, and the reason for religion. And our science is the science of getting back to what's the pure version of it all. Like we see here, Player Fly album cover. You can tell he got um, his mother holy breath within him, and we can see a child of Allah, higher self, the light, the halo represents higher self, or the child of Allah that within us all. The lower self is where we man fall from one plane to the plane right below, which is the plane of beast. So they dehumanize you to take away your crown or your halo and put you in your lower self. So we're gonna see that today. We're gonna talk about that. It's a dope album cover, one of the best I've seen in a while. You see, they dressed like the what we call Saudi Arabians, which is the number Moabites, the turbans, the robes. Um, I recommend Book of Eli. Book of Eli talking about Son of Allah who get a message, the Mother Holy Breath that guides him to take that message, which was in his head, to the west, the Maghrib. And basically, the Book of Ali is the same. Basically, all the law is written on his heart. And his message, which will make him Messiah, is the Mother Holy Breath he come to give to the sons of man to raise them to the sons of Allah. All prophets got the same story. And the Moorish Americans is him. He got the light. He bring the light to the sons of man, but he got to be in his higher self. See, at the end of the movie, he wearing an all-white robe, laying on the couch, and he be giving the gospel to representative. The representative is which is uh, Washington D.C. So basically, Washington D.C. is run the Moorish science. You see the other guy inside the movie, that's Rome, come to convert the science and lord over the people under the false doctrine, which they clearly say it all in the movie. If you just look at it and listen to each line for line, very well made movie. Um, Book of Eli. On Book of Eli, they mix the different prophets' stories, and the part at the end when he had the book, he thought he had the book. He only had them for the blind, since they couldn't see. The ozone layer messed up and they couldn't see. They were blind, so the people, the people who was blind, we can see they've been acting like how civilization. They've been beasts in status. They've been their lower self, and you can see they've been committing suicide, killing each other, rape, murder, pillaging, and the civilized, um, the ones who've been civilized who could have record or keep the book. He went to the Maghreb to give it to them, and he wouldn't give it to the Rome. So basically all allegory for 100 days. That's why Denzel Washington played that part, because he already in the Moorish Americans through the Mother Holy Breath. They just ain't paying attention to the Mother Holy Breath. So we see in the Catholic Church, in the Rosary, Hail Mary, our Salam Aleiki Ya Marim. So they got the science, but they gonna convert it and give it back to you to the slavery. Islam, peace. Like we say Islam, peace. And you start going into the language, you can start to see it's the same thing on the side. You can put a vowel between the T and the L. Any vowel, it'll still be the same word. There's a hidden vowel in there. And a lot of these letters can be replaced with other letters. This is the land of Teka. Teka is in the old Moorish books. The Guachi Mountains. Just like on the other side, what we see in the islands of Tenerife. A lot of that preserve a lot of the old American stuff that we can go and find back and forth, the different similarities on them islands. Spain, North Africa, the western coast of Africa, all that is connected to this one empire. But they calling it different things, calling it Spanish and English and West African. Let me see. Most of these terms, most of these things gonna have a L at the end. You might have I-L, U-L, E-L, any vowel. You're talking about the gods on earth, the angels, like Los Angeles. It's the angels. You see these structures in ancient Canaanite, ancient Egypt. So we know we're talking about the same people that go through so many cycle times that we lose. Like you could tell it's old because the nature started to take over. And they have to cut around these things to get them to show us the evenness. Let me see. The metals, the unnatural things that been made either get stripped away over time or dissipate when the earth shifts. But natural things stay. So they look like earthworks now. But they had metals and even high technologies and stuff too. And you see Yah in front of a lot of these too. You see Yah or Jaguar. We're gonna see what that is after we get to the end. And you see Cuba, like Cuba or Kaaba, all the sacred square or sacred grounds. Every time you see MLK or MLC or Milk or Malik, you're talking about the ancient king. MLC, MLK. Every time you see feminine nouns, you're dealing with the ancient Latin, Moorish American, Morini tongue, the Atlantic Latin. There's UL, the vowels. It's like L, just a different vowel. Latin. You can El Mesa, El Meco, El Meca, El Meccan. No matter which vowel, you're gonna see that in in this video. Different forms of the word. We just forget the language to call it a day language. But the last place we see it is at inside the Treaty of Peace of Friendship when they tell you the word American used in the original copy of the treaty is Americanos. And that's a distinct form of Latin not seen anywhere else, but maybe seen but not recognized like these. We call these native terms, but we already know PAC. Got something to do with royalty. See Tulum, Tula, Toulouse, Latin, masculine, feminine, neuter. Tulum would be neuter, I guess, because it's a place. We start calling places feminine terms. That's why most end with A. Asia and America. Ekpalam. We already know that's more bite. Kako Ben. Ben could be son. Katona, Moorish Latin. And this definitely Tula, just like I said, Tula, Toulouse, or Tulum. All those masculine just mean masculine, feminine, and neuter. Different case endings in Latin. We got Tula de Allende. Allende is Allende Mar, beyond the sea. They've been calling Moors over here. They've been asking Rome for a crusade against the Moors of Allende. Moors de Alemar, Moros de Alemar. Way before Columbus been born, they've been going on crusades against Moors de Alemar. And nobody want to tell you what that is because that destroys everything that come after that. The lies about this place, about these people. Just like you got the Moshe tribe, and they put a C instead of S to throw you off. Because if you look up Moshe, if you look up Moche, they're gonna bring you to Coke, to Moki, Mocha. And when you change that C to S like it should be, like it pronounced, it would take you to Musa. So in our documents, we see Musa embark his ships in 711 AD from Morocco, Alan Mar, beyond the sea. And you got Moshe tribe with fez and turbans on their pottery. With the whole tribe term name is Musa. So put one and two together. If they even come from beyond the sea, those Moors that everybody talk about in history, 711 AD. Another Latin, Tonina. Chincoteague, side of the mountains. And these would left, the stone lasts longer, the earthworks last longer if you use natural earth. But they had all kind of metals and stuff. It was more like you have to reconstruct on a computer how these towns and kingdoms and stuff been. Gold, silver, what kind of metals. Plazas, plazuelas. They trick everybody, make everybody think Spanish bring the language here, but these people were speaking the ancient Latin that came into various forms, just like the Spanish isn't just another form that the Latin went into. We're gonna look into that later. The Italic, the ancient Italic, like I say, at Marini, the Atlantic Moors, they're already speaking it. So they've been finding this lace by the people of Paraguay, Guam, and this lace right here. You can see there's some high science to even make these. So what you're gonna run into a lot in history when you know the true geography and know the truth about the empire, you can run into authors who get confused, like this one. They say under the name of Tenerife. They in Paraguay, but they say I have never been able to discover why this place is called Tenerife in Brazil. They find it all across the place. Same thing that you will find on when you look at those buildings in Morocco, Spain. Trying to show you they coming from some place in different Morocco. Come from both of them Moroccos. So you see, visit the Guamar pyramids in Tenerife. The modern day Tenerife now they move, like I said, they move everything shift overseas and name on paper. You see, they looking at, they talking about Mayan pyramids, and they saying, wait a minute, cross over here is the same thing. Same science, same stone structures. On those little islands in Tenerife. On my Google Maps, they trying to give me the American one because I already not researched them. They think I talking about that. About the modern day one. When you look at these places now, you look just like South America. Same place name, same everything. But this how is all up and down the West Coast because these Moors created kingdoms over here and get permission from the pharaohs of Egypt to set up these kingdoms, which actually went and set up ports all over this. And then you have Moors from up here open, setting up ports over here to facilitate trade, to feed the world. So somebody kind of messed that up. That's what they confuse themselves at because a lot of authors only know about this Tenerife. They don't know about this Tenerife, which been a kingdom, huge kingdom, kingdom of Mesa. Like this, see confusion. So talking about Columbus, the first island he conquered in Guana, Hani. Guana is Guinea of the West, the original Guinea, out of order. Both of them original because it been called Funi on the other side, and this way before this era. Um, you see the city of Saba. We're talking about that over here. So they be looking for a they were looking for the Moors, the Christian Moors who been under the Abyssinia, Ethiopian, Byzantium version of us. Like we show you in the beginning with the Rome and Maltese, they still had the Mother Holy Breath outside the realm of what we think of as religion today. So they were looking for those Moors to see if they could have been allies against the Moors who were under the Islamic thing, which been even all together anyway when they came. Because we understood the essence of it all. Islamism. We ain't blinded by the priesthood's version of it. So they were looking for him, and he going to get somebody who spoke Hebrew, because they already know we've been speaking Hebrew, we were speaking Arabic, and we were speaking Latin at the same all at the same time over here, different tribes. So naturally, a man who knew Arabic and another who knew the language of Guinea, which been basically everything that they couldn't understand, but no even dark-skinned people running them kingdoms up and down the continent. The emperor at one time in the 1600s, he called his kingdoms of Guinea. So he been using that term, and knows him and not, but all the Indian tribes up and down the continent, the tribes who had their chief and everything still been under the empire as dust in books. That's why they call you African Americans now, because they put Guinea and Africa in one place in our mind, sub-Saharan Africa. I mean, they've been an empire they were talking about, but just the terms Rome used. But we also did use terms like some of these terms like Africa and Guinea, but we had to understood of something different. Noah Lee and Marcus Garvey had know that they were understanding the world Africa. They say as we heard before, we're especially adapted to hold converse with the kings of the Indies. So they talking about the West. That's before they've been Indies. They've been Guinea. So you can find a lot of history us over here just by looking up the wars between Portugal and the Guineas, kings of Africa, because that's what they've been calling it. Then they start calling the Indies when they ready to claim it as a new world. So it us, all these us. So that Moors don't be saying we ain't that. We saying that what we called. So they don't know about Tenerife Island, that this right here. This right here. Change over time, different names change. But Kana Dookie. And we got documents that show the different surroundings that people been talking about where they at in Tenerife, and they been talking about the places and they don't match with the other side. So started to do that research and figure out that we're talking about a different side. And Rome noticed, the Vatican noticed, but they ain't telling nobody not. Got people going through shit like this just to find the truth. You can look inside the Inquisition records, and the Inquisition records begin go back and look now, knowing where places really at in those times. Garicho, Garicho. See, Juan Mendez Alguazil. He been that's a Moorish title. He been some kind of mayor or something. And his wife was supplying her with certain prayers to tame her husband or restore him to her, as he had gone astray with another woman. So you had people going to the Inquisition office, because that's what Bishopric do. They're gonna set up dioceses in the people in the lands, in our lands, and then people actually will go there for stuff like this. And look what he said, Alolia, look like Allah in our tongue. These are some interesting stuff. They even persecuting people for being witches and stuff. La Laguna in Tenerife, 1672. And you got an Englishman from Plymouth. So you know, he to Plymouth. That's the confusion. So you're reading stuff from the past, but we ain't know in 1672 what they talking about. So we got a Plymouth up here, and we got Tenerife and Laguna. La Laguna de Tenerife. Something over here. La Laguna. You got Recife right there. You see the Santa Cruz, the different Santa Cruzes, all on the other side. Oh, we've been at earlier. Because you can't erase everything. That's too hard. Okay, you got La Laguna. San Cristobal de la Laguna. De la Laguna. Same buildings. The school on the other side, La Laguna. Spelled different. Different Santa Cruz. Nice Lago. Lagunita. Oh, I never see this one, but it's another one too. San Cristobal. Spelled like this. But this one look like Kush. Canagua, yeah, right here. Lagunitas. That's how they got it spelled on the side. So much authors, so much authors write history based off the fact that Christopher Columbus discovered America in 1492. So everything before that, they had to put in their mind in their book somewhere else can't be here because he ain't discovered yet. So they help into the Reconstruction after 1492 based off their ignorance. That one event. So when you see them say an Englishman or any Christian renegade, they talking about a Christian who um, convert to Islam. See, that's why they use the term renegade for Christians out of Rome do when they convert to Islam in the narrative. So he was a native of Plymouth and the citizen of the Laguna de Tenerife, and they inside these Inquisition books, examining, inquiring. They talking about Barbaria. They talking about Barbaria because Tenerife, yeah, the Canary Islands next to is connected, so they connect that to Barbaria in their books. But you don't know what they were talking about 1672. You can go find books like this, and then it plenty clues if you know the geography switched up. That'll let you know which one they talking about. So you can talk about renegades and Moors who've been going overseas from Spain and stuff, and they've been thinking people were going to that little island in our modern times, but they've been going to a different Canary Island, which is America. See, Juan, a native of Guinea again. And they used to call young Moors Nino, Nina, and Nino. That's been young children, Moorish children. Los Moros. They were saying he get kidnapped from Moors called Halmader by the Moors. That was his real name. They called him Juan. Converted, black in color. The Euro and the cross. A young Christian now. Saleh. All out on the other side. Conquest of Westeros, which is America, according to the Knights of Christ, the state records. In 1393 to 1422, the first phase, native crown. Native crown means these been stole run by you, but you giving them factories and you working with them. What wrong? Basically Portugal and Castile. Leon and Castile in Portugal right now. You working with Lanzarote. What is this? And probably tells if it us too, it us too. That's so close. They gonna work with all that. Fuerteventura, stuff. Gomera, Hierro, Palma, and Gran Canaria get resisted. They have to stop there. They can register now after this because the people of Gran Canaria fight against them, the Knights of Christ. But they already, all them islands is these. All these islands. Gran Canaria. They don't know what all this is yet, but they know when they leave these islands coming all the way down, they're getting into Gran Canaria. Like we just finished seeing Tenerife. And the second phase, 1445, they finally get some um, private natives and some connections with private natives. So now they can register in their books, trade and commerce. They call it a conquest, but it ain't really conquest. They ain't beat nobody. Battles fought, but they ain't really won because people gonna keep fighting if they know who they is. You gotta convince them that they ain't who they is, and that's the conquest. Other than that, they just had trade rights, and you can take that from them. That's why they don't want just that. Corona Herrera, these the natives who they using the crown and the private native Herrera, and that's their claims now. Guinea, Africa, commercial expedition. See, buy and sell. And that's what they call it in their books. But you're talking about America. Barbary, that's what they calling it. Gran Canaria, that's what they calling all this. Which later became, in their books, Kingdom of New Granada, in their books, from Gran Canaria. Elmina, we already know that's on the other side. Commercial expedition. And that's what Portugal we're working with. We find that also in Castile records telling Columbus don't go to Elmina, the mine, because Castile only had Gran Canaria. He could have come to Gran Canaria inside their registration. Then you got the Lugo Wars starting in 1492 and Columbus Travels. So you got the Lugo Wars, that's the reality. That's what they recording in the history books. All this is what you can find in the books when you go look up the books and these time periods. This the truth. Moorish Americans still got control. Got the Lugo Wars, the wars against you. Why they recording that as the Columbus narrative. So basically they saying Lugo, the Clado Canaries of infidel Canaries, which is Moorish Americans. So they talk about infidel Canaries who up and down here, the Barcamoros, the Moors of the mountains, just like on the other side. And on this side, from the Canaries, you got also the mountain Moors going this way. Atlas, Andes. They ain't even change them too much, you know. So you got the wars going. Look how much it take. They have to really fight, but they telling you that these tribes just falling under the jurisdiction of everybody, all these Spaniards, right? That's a lie. Business as usual in reality. Until your mind get into this realm, then they got you. It's like they got us today. Our mind in this realm, the reality. The war of Zaka, the Ghanaian wars, that's all America. The wars of Barbary, Agadir, Mesa, Zaka, Barbary, all this talking about America. It's the conquest of Westeros. On the other side, these the ports of the native lords. So when they take these ports, Portugal and Spain, they went after the overseas ports, which is America. Niebla, We were flying the Nieva flag over here because we already had no even family going back and forth. And so they went hard and tried to conquer Niebla and whoever for these ones. Alcocer, so we get the term Corsair from. You know, a lot of the Corsairs are from America. Good even from Alcocer, they set this up. Columbus been in Alcocer. That's where he probably learned all this stuff from. We would have called him Alcocer. And then the English come around later and changed that to Corsair. Like Carl Quail. All these terms that we could see earlier in those pyramids of America. Got the same type of stuff like that. You see the rubber wings all set up on the roadway just like on the outside. Ancient. That's Portugal and Spain. So I see a lot of people say this, but the way they say this, they don't ever put it in proper context. Like I telling you, a lot of things went from west to east, not just this. When you say this, then you talking about the real history, which bring in Moors. So you can't talk about this without talking about Moors. Or you try to give half truths. See right here, one of them named Ben Ali. All these people they take from America still got the Spanish names, right? Like I said earlier, that's the old empire. All they been called is Spanish. They existed before the term. The term actually is Hispania. We don't need to read all this, but we're gonna know how all is connected. Remember now, these the ancient kings of Guinea, according to the Portuguese and the Rome. So they call them Negroes, they call them Africans, they call them black, everything except for the child of God or more. And you see, they see the term Mamelucas, which will bring you back to Egypt, ancient Moorish Mameluke. And you see Amaru. That's what they believe was Central America. In Spanish, to say Moroccan is Maru Ecos. This would be Amaru Ecos. Just like Americanos. You don't need the al part, you can just say Maricanos, and that still means American. And you see the Red Cape Gang. We're gonna show you that's the mark of a Moroccan more. We're gonna see that. See the long gun. And right there we find in West Africa. The kings of Africa had this little thing right here. I know this would knock somebody in the head when they get out of the line or what, but you can see the sword and everything. This Moorish now we're gonna show you. It's no different. The Christians that were used to convert, we would have been giving them the term like Mameluke. They down with us now. Raising the Son of Man to the Son of Allah. The fallen humanity, how we say it now. The El Dorado was in Mecca. Mecca, how we say it now. Pedro de Limpias tried to conquer it in 1539. Failed. Orders took over, entering the Huaypi or Orinoco. Believing he was moving inland, he went out to sea off Trinidad through the mouth of Cape Verde, the Green Cape. He paid for Porto Santo, the holy port, and the island of Calais. Why I think Calais is, I ain't too sure yet, but I believe it means the Moroccan or the blood of Christ, or the chalice, or holds the blood of Christ. And enclave controlled by Andalusians. See, a lot of these been already us on the other side who've been ain't not being listed on history books as Spaniards and Andalusians and Portuguese and English and stuff like that. Even though even ain't never even been over there. Stopping at Cumana, he continued to Coro, where he prepared an expedition to enter El Dorado through the Opia River, a tributary to the Meta. And we know Meta is what's left of the Mesa Empire Kingdom, the Kingdom of Mesa. We see some the maps they forget to take this. They only change a little bit to hide it. Say he traced them for 14 days. The keels brushed the slit. The boat being dragged by a force of arms. The berth was on a hill. The spring was spitting nuggets of 22-karat gold. The natives did not allow him to extend the stay, nor to the Castilians to conquer the land. So they were fighting the back. So I'll never let them tell you that Spain come over and just take over everything. It's only in our head, in movies, in books. Skillful in handling the sling, the dart, the grass. The few conquerors who carried through the parts did so individually and on a visit. That's it. They ain't been no conquering. Come to buy and leave. Remaining protected from the conquest of a kingdom that beyond the Amazon was prolonged even beyond the Maranon. In the purest classical tradition, those who visited it said they would find a nation of warrior women. So a lot of times they've been just making up a lot of stuff about us as if they had conquered us like that. After 1492, the history books make it look like they just conquer everybody real quick. Or even places that they wouldn't even dare go or get captured from Moors. El Dorado is supposed to be the golden man who made the Castilians dream. In truth, it was a place name located next to Lake Perimi. The governor of El Dorado, 1569, San Lucar, and San Lucar de Barrameda bought a half ship. So you're on the other side of the world too. The governor of this place over here. In 1569 bought a ship over there. See what I'm saying? Them records just lost because you're thinking about Indian stories that have been made up to hide the truth. When you get the real stories in the Andalusian books, Moroccan books, translate them, you will see a lot of American stories if you can read it. Ports of Caliz, all of Porto Santo, all that on that side, Cumana and Coro. We can she put in the modern and ancient terms in it to show you Coro, Cumana. And you know they that where the Amazon come from, warrior woman. So these legends is giving us some of our place names today. Old legends that they hide. So again, that's what we talking about when people be like, we're real spiritual people because stuff like this that we forget because Rome remixing everybody with these doctrines. See, political legitimacy, monarchy, and metaphysics. That's us, the people of children of Allah. Only when we know that us, if we get in doctrine, we can get into the state where we at today, confusion. So our job to explain these things the best we can. See again the Red Cape Gang, he got this understanding. The only way, like we be saying things like we children of kings and queens, ancestral kings and queens, but we don't manifest that. Why? Because we don't manifest the inner one first. That once you manifest the inner one, you and now you in truth, divine right, higher self and lower self. We can see all the different. We can see just like we were showing earlier, the Romans, even them, they had different light and understanding in science. Black Romans. And you see, the higher self had the understanding of that divine right. You see, Red Cape Gang, ancient Moabites, no matter if they in Byzantine, it's just jurisdictions. But they understand of the higher self, angels, Moorish Americans, all at the same thing. Ancient Moabites. You see, kind of raised up the fall of man, divine right raised up, and basically he get the mother holy bread from Mary, who master the lessons of the Moorish temple of Egypt in those days. And she gave them to her son. Back to that movie, Book of Eli, you see the girl at the end, she mastered the science from the Moorish temple of the Maghreb, where he bring the book to the Maghreb. She get the knowledge, and she got to go to raise up the son of man, which is her son. She already know how to fight everything just like him. Like she ain't learned martial arts, and now when she put the sword in there, boom, she ready. It all metaphysical, just to show how our mothers is the one who gotta get the signs really, the circle saving, because she gotta get them to her sons in order to create the kings of the kingdom of Allah, which is Morocco. He got the divine right. The mother holy breath. Or Kwame Brown, your mother cooker. Talk about the same thing. That's it's a true religion without even giving it a name. Live it. We see St. Maurice and the Theban League in Bohemia, all these jurisdictions, no matter where you're at in the world. Let's see, some more of the Theban League. Dubai. This can be anywhere in the world. This can be North America. It wouldn't matter. Bohemia is a jurisdiction. Germany jurisdiction, France jurisdiction, English jurisdiction in those times. They be naming these pens like this Germany and Netherlands and all that, but that could be anywhere. Life could be in America. You see the plume feathers represent nobility in Morocco. Persecution of the Theban League. But you see, they got him in his higher self. They persecuting them. And that's how you lose your knowledge of shit like that when you get persecuted and retaught, converted. You got people like this, and look this red and white stripe. Watch for that. You got the red, white, got the green. But you can see this since the ancient, you can follow this from ancient Egypt all the way through time to us now with the barbershop, which means Barbaria in Spanish. Red and white stripe, candy cane, all that. They say that's a converted more. They were talking about the chains on them, which could have been added later by some assholes. Who knows? But yes, they say that's Brazil. But it could be converted more because one of the ways they convert you is make you believe that white or light is God and black is bad. They teach the more children that in camps and Indian Moore schools and stuff like that, Jesuit schools. You see, published in Germany in 1542, but this in America. You go look up different, you look up the original copy of this, they talking about America. But in the jurisdiction of Germany or Rome, and they call this Brazil. Some people live in nature store and they all, especially in Brazil, because they hot as hell. All this Brazil area, the Africa, the Far West. Moody Southern commission um, Dutch painters to come paint some shit in the Kingdom of Morocco at that time, which is Brazil. And that's in historical documents. But nobody don't connect it to, like, where's those paintings he get commissioned? These right here. You got other people investigating this and finding out that this is Brazil. I mean, we were thinking this was Africa based off different things in the paintings, but we know now from the research, other people doing research too, you see, they put numbers and shit. They could read some of his research too when you're talking about that. You see when he take his crown off his head, he about to be converted and get a new God mentally. Because God not about to not look like him. And that's the thing, what's going on now. They despiritualizing you, take you down from the plane of man and rise you up, instead of rising you up to the higher plane, drop you down to the plane of peace. So you got the stuff on too. Conversion. Like I said earlier, the red and white stripe. Again. And I think they were trying to say Ghanaian. Gentile. Gentile homie. At that time meant a nobleman. The gentry. The gentile. The gentleman out of South Carolina speak. It's America. And they will tell you this America based off how you look. I look, she got the Moorish thing hanging down, just like the Empress, the King Montezuma, and that rag. They gonna tell you this from Africa, Ethiopia, because of how she look, her complexion. But look, she got the fine soap and diamonds and too, and she got a native, using the native things for her clothing too. probably the queen of an area in the Amazon. And I think these are the stuff that we commission. And the more let them come commission. Because Moors ain't really been painting like that because interpretation of the Quran say we don't make idols and stuff like that. So that's just interpretations. So we lack a lot of paintings and statues. But Moody Sidham, he decided to hire up some Dutch painters to come paint some shit over here. And I believe all these doors. So you can find it in his castle in Germany. All these paintings that this person paint. And I believe you just go in different parts of America. And we see this one in a crude type drawing version. We've got America on the top with all this type of dress. But the people who modern day people right on the internet, African man. So we gotta understand these things that just because we see stuff in the ain't matter if we see him in the book or online. A man right there, so he is prone for mistakes, errors, and manipulations. And of course, they call us Native American. These people blinded by race. They call us Portuguese African. They don't know who drawn it because they already say they trying to hide the fact that they don't know who commissioned these paintings around 16 around this time. He registered it. He the one who registered it. And you can see Paris, Versailles. These are the registration places, not the place that the painting's supposed to be in. The other paintings say Portuguese American. This one, we can see it's the same registration of artists, and but they put one in America and they put one in Africa based off their own understanding of race or our misunderstanding of Portuguese Africa, because that's America to me. Or they could have just named this Africa based off the color of the people, complexion of their skin. And every dark skinned person got to be African in Rome. So it could be one or the other. But what I do know is they're talking about Brazil, just like this one. In their mind, this can't be Africa, so this must be America because of how they look. But they don't understand history. That's Cabo Verde, that's the Green Cape. That's how I know it's Brazil. We can find this cape there. And it's seen in this tree. This the Carnauba wax tree. They always put in these trees in Brazil because it's one of the major products of the rich, the wealthy. Used to trade in that wax. The story of Carnauba, Brazilian wax. Very important in history. So that's what we know. When you see that tree, we know it ain't Brazil. Even if that tree ain't been this picture, painters would have put this in there for the king to know where they've been at, different things and to put in the picture. And look at the slaves, galley slaves, Spanish galley slaves, criminals, cormacanos, people they use the settlements. They're selling them boys some. They can tell they speaking the same language they talking. You got translators, you got Europeans. Now they probably work for somebody else. Insane to do the business. Then right down the road, another tribe. You gotta go across the seas. Got the same carnival wax, and in this one you can see who been selling the wax. The other one show you ain't gonna buy no wax from them because they don't know how to get the wax. This one, the Moors know how to get the wax. They the one who been selling them. They're wealthy. You got some on the ships in the background. You see the one you see natives. You see the ones on the smaller ships. That means they from here because they collecting all the shit from the interior cities, towns, and they bringing it out to the coast where the Europeans can come get the products. But they in these canoes all over coming through the system. And then a lot of the Moors who been ruling the places be getting their ship burned, even hard to hide their ships like this. They been getting whole fleets burned. The Spanish and Portuguese would find a way by hiding our fleets. And it's even hard to hide them at home. And you have to try to bring it inside. Try to bring it inside some way. Because we got cannons out here to stop them from coming inside. But they ain't even hard to get in and out with them big ass ships. Been stuck. Ways for high rise and low rise to bring up our fleets from the interior, so you know. Like you see the red and white. And they got architecture back there. They got forts. Like these boys are ahead of the game. You see Red Cape Gang, fine silk. And you got the elephant over here, and you got the ivory, so you know what happened to the elephant. The ivory, selling it almost extinct it. I seen where I be thinking now you can go all over Brazil and go to plenty zoos and see elephants. I think they just take the last ones and then they start making zoos. So they try to make it look like they ain't native here. Yeah, I don't think they bring elephants from other places. I think they just take the ones that live here, put them in a zoo. And look at them Moors right there. That must be the guards when they make these seals. So they been meeting plenty tribes when they come here. Some out some more advanced. And I think he been the translator, whatever, can speak the Arabic. Make these trades. You see, he talking to him. So he bringing stuff to like another king, a chief or whatever. Looks like more than one chief in this area. That's one probably family. That's where they come to fight too, because they got structures and shit. So you gotta be careful. We got a history in the timeline that is American, and they what are they trying to hide from you? And you be fucking around just looking at this history like you should be over here. That's the African American they talking about. But they're talking about older Africa, which is here. You probably can find this place by finding the fort, because these fort's still up. Just the press who put all the numbers on them paintings. And we start to go do research on them, you try to find out that they be using terms like King of Congo, Mani Congo, stuff like that, West African stuff. Fortress of Ajuda. See, they're putting a mythical Africa over places because of how you look. If you were dark skinned, you would have been called in Africa, even though it connected with the Indian, the Dutch, Indian company that we talked about earlier in Germany jurisdictions. So you're West Indies, but you're dealing with Nassau, who I would set them. They commission artists to come, and they ain't never going to Africa to do it. That's when later into Africa, as we know it today, Duke Mauricio Nassau been in the Brazil. So a lot of these paintings, but these terms and all these things like this, that's in the far West Africa. You see, control interference of the Vatican over these future colonies, all the West Africa, the far West, and eventually the other side. You see the King of Congo, Enrique. Now watch, which one? So they were talking about the one who addressed Dutch, who I think is Mauricio Nassau on his one that he been looking at. Talking about all these. We ain't gonna read it all, but we're gonna look and see. See, we call them Africa, Congolese, all them terms that connect with what we believe is African. A lot happened Portuguese in America, Dutch in America, German in America, Rome in America. Calling things what they know, terms that they know. And we go and follow the gods that we know not of. It is even known that the paintings in this series were presented by Nassau to the Prince of Denmark shortly after the departure of the Dutch from Brazil. So Ecorts paint most of these, and other painters too. They got the same story. This person did the research into that. You can find individual researchers into things. When you see that, you're gonna see that they know the truth about that one thing, and somebody else got the truth about one other thing, and somebody else got the truth about another thing. You can put it all together. This guy know how to get the truth out of these things. He draw this one too. Called the Bakongo people. Let's check that out. Live research. Right there. Look at this. Salome. Salome is one of the Mary teachers in the Moorish Science Temple of Egypt. The other side of Africa too, you can do the same things. The side we got the Morisite temples. You can find Mali and all the West African, what we consider West African today. The empire is far stretched. Hmm. You got both sides already. Right? You got the park at street. A lot of street names too that you can see that they didn't get changed to. But you see Sao Paulo, that's what I drawing. I believe that those two drawings where you got the two different tribes. Um, that's part of Brazil, I think, is that Sao Paulo. Sao Paulo is one of the most interesting places to go do your research. But basically, the riverways, we used to head out this riverway and go into this one, or this one. And so, look, they say European scholars were fascinated by the light-skinned children of the African baby, suggesting that African children probably grew up getting progressively darker. They don't know on our side of the land, we got different complexion within our family. It's been like that for a long time. You really find a group house with 10 people, close relatives, all the same complexion exactly. You will see shades. So they've been fascinated by that for whatever reason. So you see people naming these things Negro, stuff like that. So you see some critics, analysts, mainly Brazilians, insist on always stating the figures of non-slave blacks, usually things of iconography about slavery in Brazil, were not portrayed in Dutch Brazil. So they're going back later and start renaming these things and stuff like that. What he's saying, because those Moors were just dukes, who were Dutchmen, European dukes. And Calabrio de Prado. Prado is another one of those terms that means so-called black. You see the person put the author try to prove that the palm tree make it not Brazilian, but we all know that Brazil is the land of palms, which will remove the black character from the canvases of the context of Brazil, which the official Dutch description of all the paintings, on the contrary, already assume literally. So the Dutch paintings already telling them people, these people, that's Brazil, but they want to Africanize it so bad because of the complexion of the people and how free they is in the paintings. How free they look like the slaves in their mind. And regarding palm trees, by the way, let's agree, the Colombo region of our history, so this person probably from Brazil writing this. Oh yeah, I translate this to English, which existed in context by these same landscape of Recife, like we saw earlier, which called exactly Palomares, Palma. And now, to the best of our knowledge, technically, the official descriptions, originals of the paintings of this importance are indisputably historical documents. What were the intentions that justify the attempt to distort these indications? So he finding out that they renaming everybody. The possibility which would have raised in the previous post can be strongly corroborated in the case of the black woman, quote unquote, by a scenario that appears to be a beach in Recife. And by the very rich detail of the hat, which is a Bakongo hat, worn by the women in every way, being a non-slave with a Moreno child in the middle of the capital of Dutch Brazil. So that's this painting when this painting first really surfaced on the internet. You had a lot of Afrocentrics um, using that to try to say we trying to call someone in Africa American. This one, so we have to prove to them that this is an American. Our own people we have to prove. So they give up on that. But now you seen European try to just inherit this painting by using a modern day African, which we know was Orbizo. And that's one too. You try to say this is African. So you can stop after this. The only certainty that one does not have is whether all the paintings were made here or during the entourage stay in Amsterdam. You had Moors in Amsterdam and you had people from Moors from Amsterdam and Brazil because of the connection between again Nassau and Sodom. We can't really speak for after that generation. The hypothesis of these paintings are authored by the same painting, all unsigned, although only three are attributed to Eckert, is feasible and sheds surprising light on the figure of the latter paint portrait. The most pathological case of these Brazilian omissions and falsification is the famous canvas carved by Brazilian art critics Mameluco. We see that in many videos. We talk about that. And the Mameluco, they'll tell you that's Brazil. Genetically, the mixture of a white and Indian, quote unquote, and an illustration that many known to be recurrent in history books in the part related to the Dutch invasion. But look how the curious the Dutch description is. So basically, they talking about they trying to justify it and help it out. Let me see. They talking about my man with the sword, who I showed you earlier, the brown nigga with the sword. There is no news of Dutch painters in Angola or anywhere else in Portuguese Africa at the time. They've been in Portuguese Africa. That was America. That's why he can't find it. And Dutch at that time over there. We see that much later, about 100 years later. Talk about confusions. All this is confusions, and he doing a good job of researching it and finding the falsehoods. But if he had known the true history, it would have been easy to find these falsehoods in his research. You see, in the house of the Minas, the mines, these priestess, Vodunsi. Okay. Got European dolls in it. Well, I know we in Africa. We in ancient Africa. Now these people stole in ancient Africa, 1914. You find ancient Solomonic talismanism. So you start right there. Continue the next one. In our series of black room, be able to see.